All right, people, it is December 30th at 5:42 p.m. and I'm finally recording my video for the best albums of 2025. Now, many of these little publications are dropping their list like late November, early December, and I'm like, what are you doing? We have a full month of music to go, okay? I like to take that time to really revisit many albums I've already listened to and to catch up on like the laundry list of albums that I haven't even heard yet. Now I've taken all them little albums I've listened to and I've whittled them all down to a lovely list of 20 albums that I think you'll enjoy. To start though, I have a long list of honorable mentions that I think deserve your attention. Now I'm going to go through these rapid fire super fast, so get out your little pen and paper and get ready to take some notes, people. Here we go. The soundtrack for 28 Years Later is done by a band called Young Fathers. They were #1 on my list from a couple years ago. This album is amazing, it's beautiful, they've created a dreamlike soundtrack, and the movie itself is also amazing. It literally made me cry. Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover is a total sensory overload and will really challenge your love for music, and you might even hate it, I don't know. You Wanna Fade by Alien Boy is a lovely, dreamy, sort of indie rock, classic sounding album. Anyway by the band called Anamanaguchi is also a sort of classic sounding indie rock album, but with more of like an emo, punk rock edge to it. Luminescent Creatures by Ichiko Aoba is one of the most beautiful, sort of subtle albums of the year. Stardust by Danny Brown is a hip hop album that usually I love, and I do love it, but I'm still listening to it, trying to soak it all in. Danny Brown uses heavily a lot of up and coming artists in sort of like the techno, noise sound, noise pop genre. My favorite EP of the year is Volver by Sophia Cortisis. Now I wish she just made a full album, but that's okay. The songs, she upgrades her skills, she upgrades her songs, her songs sound bigger, better, and more upbeat, more fun. Horror by Barty Strange is really a great acoustic guitar driven rock album. He's super talented, and the song Sober is one of my favorite songs of the year. Don't Tap the Glass by Tyler the Creator is a better, more fun album than Chromacopia, and I really like the song and video for Stop Playing With Me. Lastly, an album that just dropped on December 12th is called Fantasy by the artist called DJ Sabrina, the Teenage DJ. If you like techno music, you will love this album. It's literally 40 songs, almost 4 hours of music. It's albums like these for why you wait until the very end of the year. Time to start the list. My number 20 favorite album of the year is This Side of the Island by Hamilton Leithauser. Now, if you were sort of an indie rock fan in the early 2000s and 2010s, you most definitely know of the indie rock band The Walkmen, okay? Their lead singer, Hamilton, has released multiple solo albums, and this one is one of my favorites, okay? His vocals are, I think, very classic. Obviously, he sounds a lot like Bob Dylan, but I kind of miss these style of vocals. I miss this style of music, this like upbeat indie rock, very summery style of music. It's just fun. The songs are great, and yeah, I think he's doing a really great job post The Walkmen. Number 19 is Lotus by Little Simz. I think Little Simz is easily one of the best rappers around alive today. And this album's really special. I just think it's like, it has a much more of a darker edge to it. The beats are a little darker. Also, the other thing I really love about this album is that there are mostly live instrumentation and live sounds, which I really love when an artist switches from beat, sort of digital effects, to a more live sound. I think it shows like a maturity or sort of a riskiness and just a love of music that you sometimes don't get on just a total electronic or beat heavy album. Number 18 is Tall Tales by Mark Pritchard and Tom York. Now listen, I'm trying not to be a Tom York fanboy. I feel like every year I have something Tom York related on my lists, but the dude is just like making tons of music, and I truly believe like everything he touches is just gold. He has never made a bad album. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, okay? I'd love to hear what you think is a bad Tom York album, but this album is super interesting, very dark, very dystopian, And if you like sort of the weirder, slower Radiohead style songs, you are going to love this album. Number 17 is Bite Down by Ribbon Skirt. A lot of people are talking about the sort of grungy indie band Wednesday, but I think Ribbon Skirt is the band people should be talking about when it comes to that more grungy indie rock sound, okay? Also, I just want to say about this album, this is an example of an album where the lead singer's vocals can elevate sort of a middle of the road rock sounding album. I don't know. I feel like I'm making fun of it, but I'm really not. But where the lead singer can really elevate the music to something more interesting, more exciting. Just the way the lead singer pronounces the words and sings, I think adds a lot to this album. It's a great rock album, and I can see this band getting super big. Number 16 is F You Skrillex, You Think You're Andy Warhol, But You're Not, Heart by Skrillex. Now, I'm a big Skrillex fan of late. His last couple albums I think are pretty good. I always have to sort of put an asterisk by my review or my love of him by saying, like, listen, he's different now, okay? He's better. His music is better, okay? And this album is really no different. What I love about this album is it's structured and designed to listen from front to back as if it's one big sort of techno music or concert set that he's playing or performing. And I love that. I wish more albums treated albums like sort of a live experience. There's a crazy narrator on this album. Most songs are like a minute long and flow right into the next song. And there's truly some crazy beats and intense songs all throughout this album. Again, this album is your best friend if you want to work out, if you want to get something done around the house. It just has a flow and an intensity to it to really get your heart rate up and get you moving and doing things. Number 15 is Live, Laugh, Love by Earl Sweatshirt. Earl Sweatshirt, I think, is essentially your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. I think. I don't know. I just feel like he has created his own little underground, more like indie style of hip hop that is, for me, super interesting. He's got very retro, sort of classic sounding beats, very strangely connected and mixed together. His rapping is very dense with lyrics, and he doesn't really follow, you know, the general sort of chorus structure to his songs, but I think that's what makes it so interesting, okay? I really recommend, if you like hip hop or rap music, you should check this out. It's something different for you if you haven't heard it, and it's one of my favorite hip hop albums of the year. Number 14 is Moisturizer by Wet Leg. Now, Wet Leg came on the scene a couple years ago. Their debut album came out, you know, a couple of years ago, and it got a lot of positive praise. It was on a lot of people's year-end lists. I thought it was fine. I thought it was okay, but I truly think their second album is more confident, more exciting, more interesting, and Wet Leg, I think, have made the choice to carry the torch of rock music, okay? Now, last thing I want to say, there's something about debut albums and bands getting super hyped and good reviews for their debut, but they're getting less hype, less reviews, less positive reviews on their second, third, and fourth album, okay? I don't know what it is. I don't think these bands are making worse albums or getting worse, but I do think it has something to do with like this music media hype that a lot of these publications do for new artists, which I think is good, but it also is a little tiring, you know? I think, again, Wet Leg is making a much better album. They're much more talented. And there's a lot of bands that their second, third, and fourth album are just as good or better than their debut, but that doesn't get much attention. Anyways, so sorry. Wet Leg, Moisturizer, super great album. The song Monge 2, I think, is top 2 best song of the year. Number 13 is called Post Heaven by a band called Jadu Heart. This is an album, this is a band that really just came out of nowhere. I've never heard of them. I only heard about them because my friend told me they were opening for, Fontaines DC, okay? And he said, you really gotta check out their album. So I checked it out. It truly is amazing, okay? They are essentially sort of a grungier, almost like a early 2000s, late 90s grungy techno style of music. Not techno, like more electronic, okay? Almost like a Radiohead style of music. They have male and female vocals kind of going back and forth. And I truly think everyone should check this album out. I can't believe no one's talking about it. It's really good. The first song, I think it's called Dead, is so good. I challenge you to listen to it and not enjoy it, okay? Prove me wrong. Tell me in the comments. Call my phone. Did you like this song, the first song of the album? What did you think of this album, okay? Tell me, and we can have coffee and talk about it, okay? My number 12 favorite album is Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clipse. Okay, people are calling this the rap event of the century almost, okay? And when this album came out, I listened to it a little bit, just moved on with my life, listened to other things, and I've really this past month, especially like in December, I've really spent a lot of time listening to this album. And I really truly think as far as rap albums go, it's on another level, okay? I think you should listen to all your little rap albums you've loved throughout the year and then immediately listen to this. And truly, it's just miles better than any other hip hop or rap album I've heard this year. Okay, I don't mean to be mean to all the other previous albums I've liked or listened to, but the production is wild, the lyrics are great, the way they rap is amazing, the beats, the songs themselves, the structure of the album, everything is just on another level. Okay, super good. It's some people are calling this like the greatest comeback of all time. I don't know, but I just think this is an amazing hip hop rap album. Everyone should be listening to it if you haven't yet. And that's all I have to say. Number 11 is Icons by 2 Shell. This is their, I think, second album, and it is probably my favorite full-on techno album of the year. This is one of those second albums that got like kind of like middling reviews, not as good of reviews as their first album, but I think this is just pound for pound better. Their last album had like 3 songs that were insanely good, okay? But for me, Icons is a much stronger album. Each song, I think, balances out to be better and to make a better album than their first album. I'm a big fan of the first couple songs on the album. The album just starts banging right from the get-go. And then I'm a huge fan of the song, what's it called? Finding My Spirit. Okay, towards the end of the album, super good. If you need a good upbeat techno album that maybe you haven't listened to, Icons by 2 Shell, go do it. Number 10, we're in the top 10. This is huge, okay? Number 10 is Dia by Ella Minus. In my mind, Ella Minus is essentially like the new Fever Ray or the new Bjork, okay? Like a techno Bjork. her music is electronic, it's upbeat, it's fast-paced, and I think Ella Minus is so skillful at like, I don't know, just DJing or creating song structures that she takes every song after it begins, obviously, and finds a way like mid-song to just take it to the next level. Whether that mean like kicking in a new beat or starting a new set of vocals, I don't know. But the way she sings, the way she structures her songs, I think, she's probably the best techno artist around right now, in my opinion. And again, if you're a fan of like The Knife, Fever Ray, maybe the more upbeat Bjork songs you've loved, Ella Minus, Dia, such a great album. I wish it was talked about more. Actually, a couple months ago, it was like in my top 5, and I didn't drop it because it's not as good. I just think there's been so many other albums that I've listened to and really loved that have come out, but I could see this album easily being in top 5 of many people's lists. Number 9 is Headlights by Alex G. Okay, listen, I love Alex G. His last album, God Save the Animals, was my number 1 album of the year it came out. Okay, that album was wild, was different, had some like strange songs, different genres. And when Headlights came out, I was so hyped for it, okay? And I'll be honest, I was disappointed. Headlights is, I think, a little bit more straightforward of an indie rock album, almost like an Elliott Smith style indie rock album. And at first I was just kind of bummed out. I wanted weirder. I wanted more different stuff. I wanted more electronic sounds, okay? That's what really drew me to his last album. But I really listened to this album more and more and more throughout the year. I just kept coming back to some of the more amazing songs. And now I think I'm at a good place, a good spot where I can admit, I think this is a great album. Okay, it's a nice follow-up. And again, it's a more straightforward indie rock, Elliott Smith sounding guitar-driven album, which is cool. There are still elements of weirdness that Alex G likes to do, which I think are great. And there's a lot of use of like mandolin, which I think is interesting, okay? Anyways, Headlights by Alex G. A couple of the songs on the albums are some of my favorite songs. June Guitar is a beautiful song. And that's about it. It's an amazing album. I think you should check it out. Indie rock, just an indie classic. Number 8 is Essex Honey by Blood Orange. Just real quick, folks, please, I hope no one's counting how many times I say indie or indie rock, okay? I know I say it a lot. It's like the predominant style of music I listen to, but I'm going to use it some more, okay? Blood Orange and this album, I think, is like the quintessential sort of mid-tempo indie style of music that maybe was popularized like during the 2010s. What I love about this album, and the way I would describe it though, is it's sort of like indie maximal, okay, or whatever you would say. It's indie cranked to level 12. And the reason it does that, the reason I would say that is because there are so many interesting, cool, amazing instrumentation going on in this album. It makes it an exciting listen, a fun listen. There's acoustic guitar, there's electronic beats, there's piano, there's horns, there's percussion. Some songs have orchestras playing. I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful indie album. I experience something new every time I listen to it. And Blood Orange, my hat's off to you, my friend. They really made something special that really captures almost like a city feel. There's a lot of like other vocals and a lot of sounds of the city on this album. Either way, it sounds like Blood Orange wrote this album and created it after their mother passed away, which is super sad. So there is a lot of sort of melancholy, nostalgic songs about their hometown and about life. And that's another reason why I love it. I think you know, people my age, I guess, can really connect with those themes, especially if you've been through hardship. It's a lot to take in, but I think this album is worth taking in. Number 7 is Lonely People with Power by Death Heaven. This is a metal album with screeching vocals. So if you're not into that, I say pish posh, too bad. Check it out. You might like it, okay? The reason I love this album, and I love Death Heaven, number 1, they always make exciting, amazing albums, okay? Every single one of their albums, I know Sunbather, their like original album, really gets all the love, but truly every single album is just a classic, honestly. And although I would say, you know, their last album, they experimented with more normal vocals, okay? But they are back with like the screaming, screeching on this album. And I don't think their last album was bad or anything. I just think it was different, okay? I'm glad they're back to the screaming, the screeching, the heavy metal style of sound, the doom metal, whatever you want to call it. And what I love about Death Heaven is I feel like they are making rock music that I wish more bands were making. It's epic, it's powerful, okay? It's dark, super dark. There's some really cool dark sort of wall of sound songs on this album. On a couple other previous albums, I've compared them to like the metal version of like Queen or something, just because I think some of their guitars and like song structures are so epic. It almost has like that Queen jumpy, like big sound to it. Anyways, Lonely People with Power is sort of a dark, brooding, intense metal album. I think everyone should listen to it, especially if you like rock music and you feel bored by rock music. I say try this. It will give you energy, give you power, and I think it's something people should listen to. Metal music, you know, I gotta check it out more, and that's my goal. Anyways, Lonely People with Power, super good. Number 6 is Choke Enough by OK Lou. OK Lou is, I guess, a French artist who makes really kind of minimalist, interesting, electronic, but also live music, live sounds, pop music. And this is, I previously called this album my album of the summer. I stand by that. I think it's a really enjoyable pop record with some awesome songs. It's a nice change of pace to hear an album like this compared to some of these other pop albums that seem to just be like going full force, you know, huge loud sounds, big choruses. This, I think, is something that breaks music down to its core element, and it still is exciting. It still is addicting just by the very nature of the songs. Some of my favorite songs on this album, I love the song ICT. Choke Enough is great. If you want to hear kind of like a cool minimalist techno song, Harvest Sky is awesome. And then the final song of the album, Blade Bird, another favorite of mine. If you want to kind of check out an alternative pop, sort of pop music album, highly recommend this. I love this album, Choke Enough by OK Lou. Top 5, let's do this. Number 5 is Lux by Rosalia. This is hands down the most beautiful, epic, sort of maximalist album of the year. Rosalia has just created something absolutely insane, okay? Her singing, I'm telling you, I love her singing, her voice, her vocals. It's the most beautiful voice I've heard, and the level, sort of the degree she's going to on some of these songs, I think just blows all these other crummy pop stars out of the water, okay? I love an album like this where an artist just does what they want and they go for it. You don't hear this level of energy. You don't hear this level of passion in most albums throughout any number of years. And Lux is something that I think is just super special, okay? The one song I want to shout out that literally almost brought tears to my eyes, okay, is called Number 5, Mio Cristo. Truly a beautiful song. The ending will give you chills, okay? Seriously, this album could have been, you know, in another universe, my number 1, okay? I just think this is a beautiful, amazing album. Number 4 is Eusexia by FKA Twigs. I'm a big FKA Twigs fan, and even though this album is quite different from her library, I think this album is her best work, most interesting work. It's just an amazing album. Every single song is basically a banger, okay? Every single song offers something new and interesting, and I just think she knocked this out of the park, you know? It's just an insane, upbeat, dance, techno, pop album. Has darker sort of hip-hop vibes to many of the songs as well. If you were a fan of FKA Twigs or you listened to her in the past, I feel like as I revisited her previous albums, a lot of them are like sort of meddling indie vocal albums. So that's why it's so amazing to see her go this direction with her music. Just in your face, powerful, and just the songs, the beats, the pace. There's a quick pace to these songs. I just think it's one of the best sort of dance techno albums of the year. Pound for pound, this is probably the album with the most consistency throughout each of the songs. Like I said, every song is a banger. And Eusexia by FKA Twigs, truly something special. Check it out if you like dance, pop, or just any type of music. Number 3 is Patience Moonbeam by Great Grandpa. This is an album that was nowhere on my radar. Never heard of this band, never heard of this album. I think I remember seeing like the album cover when I was scanning through some reviews on Pitchfork or something. And This was an album someone had on their lists for whatever reason. Don't know why. I just checked it out. And it has become my favorite indie rock album of the year. It's sort of that classic indie rock sounding album. And, you know, when I look at my sort of Apple replay of my most listened to albums of the year, it's crazy. This was number one. Okay? There's just something about this album that I kept coming back to it over and over and over again. I think the songs are very deep. They're very exciting. They're very interesting for an indie rock album. The lyrics are amazing. What I love about this album too is that there's a lot of play between songs. So like, for example, early on in the album, there might be a chorus or something that the artist sings, and they sort of bring it back for later songs, which I just love that kind of stuff in albums. What else can I say? I think this is probably my most addicting album of the year. And it, in a lot of ways, it's usually not something I gravitate towards too. I don't know. But just something about this album I think is perfect. You know, it's just a perfect indie rock album front to back. And it has an interesting story to tell, I think. Number 2 is Viagra Boys by the band Viagra Boys. Wow, what an amazing album. I loved this album the second I heard it, and I still love it with every repeated listen. It's an intense, wild, crazy ride of a rock album. The best rock album of the year, I'm going to say, I think. It's super fun to listen to. The lyrics are totally wild. And I want to talk about that very quickly. I like to compare this album to one of my favorite books, The Catcher in the Rye. Now, The Catcher in the Rye is, I think, one of the most misunderstood books, maybe of all time. I talked to one of the teachers I worked with, and I said, "Oh, Catcher in the Rye, you're a fan of that?" And he said, "I hate that book." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "When I was a teenager, I loved it. I thought the main character, Holden Caulfield, was hilarious, was cool. And then as an adult, he is an asshole. He is a jerk. He's so annoying." And I actually agree, okay? But I think it's misunderstood. The main character of The Catcher in the Rye, Holden Caulfield, is a character dealing with intense trauma, okay? And yes, they act crazy, they act wild, they stay and do annoying, stupid, dumb things. And I don't think you're supposed to like those things, okay? But I think what's especially beautiful about that book is that there are moments of love and caring from the main character that sort of shine through his facade. And they're really beautiful moments in that book. And so it's a character that's, again, going through a lot in their life. They don't know how to deal with it, but at their core, they're truly a caring and kind, amazing person. Coming back to this album, I feel that way about this album. You could listen to this album and just be like, this dude's just saying random stuff. The lyrics are just stupid. You know, it's like he's throwing darts at a dartboard to choose his next lyric or topic. And I can see that. And that is one aspect that makes this album fun, is that the lyrics are just wild. But also, there's this very subtle, I think, beauty to the album. There's a couple songs in the middle and at the end that I think reveal a more empathetic, more caring, more loving nature of the lead singer of this character. And I think because of that, this album is sort of like a comment maybe about mental health, maybe about like the wild, crazy intake of propaganda and media in our lives and how it just makes us crazy. I don't know, but at the end of it, I think there is a very soft, sweet, beautiful core to this album. It's just truly an awesome album. Even if you just look at it at face value and just enjoy it for its wild nature, I think that's cool too, because it is fun. But the slower, softer songs, I'm so glad they're there. and I think they really round out and make what is like more surface level album into something more interesting. Viagra Boys, they've done it again. Their last album, Cave World, is amazing. This is their best album. I would give this album a 10 out of 10. Holy, we did it. Number 1. Now listen, I'm really sorry to do this, but for the first time in Matt Phelps list making history, I've named 2 albums as my number 1 album of the year. My number 1 favorite albums of the year is Getting Killed by Geese and Heavy Metal by Cameron Winter. Okay? If you know anything about these artists or this band, Geese, Cameron Winter is the lead singer of Geese. Okay? And I fell in love with heavy metal early on in the year. It was one of my first albums I really listened to a lot, and something that I immediately knew was special. Okay, now technically this album came out the very, very, very end of last year, but I think it just didn't get the attention or the ability to be on people's lists or on people's radar. And I see a lot more publications and people reviewing it now and putting it on their lists this year to sort of make up for that. Cameron Winter, Heavy Metal, it's just like a classic sounding album. Okay, it is a classic sort of like, you know, those classic solo artists of our time, making artistic, interesting, weird music, rock, I guess rock or indie rock music. Heavy, Cameron Winter's heavy on the piano, which I really appreciate and miss. You know, I'm a huge Tom Waits fan, like older Tom Waits, so I love those sort of like piano ballady songs. And this is that style of music for maybe a new generation. A lot of the lyrics I think are super special, super interesting. Cameron Winter not only is an amazing musician, but an amazing writer. Also, shout out to Cameron Winter's voice. Very different, very original. And I think a lot of people talk about like Jim Morrison and other artists of the past, but truly I think he's created his own style. Anyways, Heavy Metal by itself was going to be my number 1 album of the year. Then Cameron Winter went wild and his band Geese dropped another absolute classic called Getting Killed. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful to the band or the artist and say like, this is like a heavy metal too, but in a way it is kind of like a rockier sequel to Cameron Winter's first album. There are more sort of interesting, weirder rock sounding songs, jammier songs, but you also get a lot of like the personal, ballady, slower Cameron Winter songs he's known for from his last album. Anyways, Getting Killed I think is the perfect pairing with this album. If you want to take your love of Cameron Winter and music to the next level, get involved and check out Getting Killed by Geese. Okay, there's also I would say like some of the best songs of the year on this album. Obviously the song Taxes is a huge song and it was my immediate favorite. It still is my favorite from the album. But man, both of these albums, again, they are just classic sounding albums. Some people just deserve like all the fame, all the praise, all the publications talking about them. And Geese and Cameron Winter are getting a lot of love this year on album lists, and they deserve it. Okay, they've created something truly special, truly amazing, and just a big fan of these albums. Also, shout out to the drummer for Geese. Some of the drums go so hard on some of these songs, like a lesser drummer wouldn't go this hard on some of these slower, more ballady or mid-tempo songs, but he just does it. Okay, the drumming is amazing on Getting Killed. So that's all I have to say. Number 1, I chose 2 albums, Heavy Metal by Cameron Winter and Getting Killed by Geese. Truly epic, amazing, beautiful albums. The writing is amazing, the vocals, when the band comes in on Geese, even better. And I think you all should check these out if you haven't heard them yet. If you haven't heard of Cameron Winter. There it is. Wow, we did it. Okay, 2025, there's my top 20 albums of the year. If you listen to my rambling, if you listen to sort of my stream of consciousness on the fly, discussions about these albums, thank you. If you didn't listen to these albums or my discussions, you did the smart thing, okay? Just skip through them and then immediately add these albums to your playlist because I think you'll find something special, I hope, from these top 20 albums. Listen, folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the year. What you got, like 1 day left, maybe a couple hours left by the time I post this video. I don't know. I'm super excited to make more videos in the new year. I was busy this year, honestly, and my goal for the new year is to make more videos, more politics, more education, and I want to talk about more music too, okay? I'm excited for 2026. I hope you are too. Obviously, Donald Trump as our president is a total bummer and completely ruins life for many people, but it just makes me more confident ever that we're going to defeat that fool, we're going to defeat his ideology, and we're going to come back stronger and better as a people, as a nation, I don't know, and Donald Trump will be a thing of the past. I can't wait until that day when he is a thing of the past, all right? Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the year and a wonderful new year and a wonderful 2026. We'll catch you all later. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.